Always have a great day for the bus tour, and today is no exception. We've never ever had a rainy day or a miserable day. It's always been nice.
You just cursed us.
So anyway, I'd like to thank the bus tour committee, Ray Ayton, Mike Painter, Doug Grimm, and Jeff Stevens. Thank you all for helping with the bus tour and putting this on. It was a real team effort. I'd like to thank Patty Creek Market for the wonderful food. I hope you like your sandwiches. Special thanks to Clay Hopper from Beach Transportation. He's our driver. He's on his way. That's not him.
Not me today again. Sorry.
And thanks to Stephanie Cobb. She's our work-study student in the Office of Neighborhoods. And Bob Cross, he's my husband. He always helps with everything. He doesn't have a choice.
You lucky guy.
Okay, we're excited to have so many city council members attending. Give us a wave when I say your name. We have Michelle Cares. Annalise Haddell. John DeBari. Dwayne Jones. Heidi West. And John Wilkins. Julie Armstrong is going to meet us at the mall, and she's going to talk about what's going on at the mall. Thank you, Ron Scholl from MCAT, for coming along and taking a video of this. You will all be on TV. A special thank you to all our presenters here today also. And this year we're playing Bus Tour Bingo. And thank you, Dave Chrisman. It was his idea. And later on, Stephanie's going to tell you about that. There's feedback sheets, and as you know, nobody gets off the bus till you hand me your feedback sheet, so we know how we did. We listen to the feedback you provide, and this year we split the city in three because everybody felt too rushed in the past few years, so hopefully we'll feel about as rushed this time around. The mayor had a couple of words to say. He couldn't be here today. He said, our neighborhoods are great places because of great people and the pride they've taken the place they call home. It's a privilege for me to serve all the Missoula neighborhoods and to work together with the city council, neighborhood councils, and staff to ensure that we grow and change and we preserve the best of our community. The bathroom's in the back. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you, everyone, and I hope we all have a great time. Stephanie?
Hello. Okay, so for Bus Tour Bingo, you all should have a bingo card in your packet, and they all are different, so have a good time. So then as we go on the bus tour, you're gonna like find things that you see on your bingo sheet, and if you see it, then like highlight it or exit out. And then if you find a bingo, yell bingo, then it's just like a line or cross or any like a traditional bingo, then yell bingo and we'll check your card. And then after the first bingo is found, we'll have a second round, and that's like a blackout. So don't like get rid of it after the first round. And then we have prizes. So motivation. So not sandwiches. We have gift cards to the Downtown Association, so if you guys want to participate, that would be great. And then just yell bingo when you have one.
My name is Bob Martin from the Southgate Triangle. The Southgate Triangle ends down there where the railroad tracks meet Russell Street. You can see this. You can see this building here has been under construction for the last couple of years. It's been completed. It's got commercial on the bottom and residential on top. Example of the mixed use. Zoning that I think you guys all decided to put in place. This is the easternmost boundary of the triangle. It runs over along the railroad tracks on the other side. We're turning to the west now, and we're approaching McLeod Park. It's one of the older parks in our neighborhood. We have three. This one, McLeod, Boyd Park towards the southern end of the neighborhood, and then Bellevue Park. Now, you can see over in the corner to your left, the orange fence around the new playground equipment that our park bond is going to purchase. They've already installed a new slide here up in this corner. And we've got the shelter, 4 or 5 tables and a basketball court. We're hoping, over the last few years, we've gotten new sidewalks all the way around, handicap accessible sidewalks we've put in, and that's pretty much it for McLeod Park. It's a great place to have a gathering if anybody needs a spot.
Next up, we're going to the mall, and we're going to have some people hop on board with us.
This is Michelle Cares. Just wanted to mention that when we left Southgate Triangle neighborhood, we entered Franklin to the Fork neighborhood. So that's where we are now. Right here on the right side of this intersection behind the stop sign is a street light. A neighborhood partner said there should be a street light on North and Johnson because it's really dark at night. And the city was like, you're right. And they put one in 6 months later. So that is just community voices in action. If you want to use your community voice, just let us know and we'll try and help you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Hi, thanks for coming to Southgate Mall. I'm Peter Lambros. I am the developer and ownership representative and kind of the point person for the activities at Southgate. And someone just said, we can drive around and be where you want to be. You can kind of see what there is to see right now, and that is an empty parking lot, some construction, and I can explain a vision. Where we will drive in a bit is around the Bob Ward side, so you can kind of get an appreciation for the connections that we're trying to put together. Can everybody hear me in the back of the bus? That seems like a miracle that this works. Okay, that's great. So here's, I'm going to give you, to start driving?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to be cooler if we're driving. So what I'd ask you to do is drive towards JCPenney, which is basically that way around the construction site. So Southgate Mall, regional shopping center. Quick story, the formula for decades and decades was put together an enclosed building that faced inward, that had no outward welcome, and was anchored by fashion, department stores. The ones we think of, JCPenney, Sears, Dillard's, this sort of thing. In the modern era of shopping and our patterns and the new choices we have, successful destinations of commerce are mixed use and they're urban. And a few components to that related to us of how can we usher Southgate into a modern era is not only by adding uses to it, which will coincide with more daily use than just occasional use, and that's adding the traffic drivers of entertainment, food, and services. When we think of what do we have to do every day? We have to eat. And what do we have to do sometimes? Have fun, run into people, see things. So the plan on Southgate's part was, we need more land for parking, but also visibility. And we want to build in a way that turns everything out to a street. So what you could do here is kind of pull into the open parking field off to your right up here, just so we can kind of look back at the Pennies and Paxson Plaza. You'll notice one appendage of Paxson Plaza has been removed, and another one remains, which will remain for the time being and redeveloped. So, did you all get the handout? Have we passed around those handouts yet? So the handout will show, hopefully you can tell on that map, there are three big components to this plan before we get to the multifamily. It's the addition of a movie theater, and if we were looking right now towards Sears, just to the right of the mustard seed is where you'll see the entrance to the movie theater. Why did we put the entrance on this side? because these parking fields are all underutilized right now. So it was to utilize existing parking fields without having to recreate them. The other components, the Sears building will be redeveloped with a grocery anchor. Specialty grocery, meaning something that you'd go beyond your neighborhood for, or if you lived in this neighborhood, would be just an awesome grocery store, kind of like the Good Food store, but a slightly more accessible value proposition. So we're really excited about the food part of this. And then in between will be a row or an area with stores, restaurants, patios that just feels good. If we do our design job well, when we walk around a downtown or a destination where we just like walking around for the sake of walking around because of the storefronts we see and the patios and people enjoying a meal, that is, and so now why don't you take the bus to the left of Bob Ward's as far as you can. So the idea is to make a place. A lot of us think, gosh, do we want to just go cruise around the inside of the mall right now? Maybe not if we don't have retail shopping to do, because it doesn't provide that street front kind of evocative experience. So the idea for us is to really provide that street front experience. What the city did in January of this year, after a year of a lot of consideration, was agree to really implement what had been in the city's traffic plan for decades, which is a connection across the railroad to Mary Street, which will connect, for more or less we can say, the present entry of the mall, although that'll move a little bit the signal, and it'll connect us to Reserve Street across the railroad track. And that truly was the first piece to transformation of we're no longer living on a ring road. We are actually building Southgate Mall up to a street front so it looks like a downtown. So that's the whole idea there. And when we talk about what does the development of a grid, what does a street pattern imply, I love, and if you can drive as close to where you can't drive anymore, back here on the corner of Bob Ward's, this is an example. When we talk about infill, what do we mean by infill? Here's 10 to 15 acres back here that unless you had reason to walk behind Bob Ward's, you would never know, gosh, this is beautiful. Like the views and the proximity to different parts of town than where a lot of residential development and multifamily development is taking place. This is some really cool land. And it doesn't make sense to build back there other than kind of the piecemeal way we've been developing unless there's a comprehensive plan, and that really depends on a road network that people can get in and out. And also when you think of what does mixed use means, it means someone can work, they can live, they can walk to where they shop, to where they eat, to where they experience entertainment. And it's super cool now with what else is going on Brook Street with South Crossing, the new signal at Door Lane. All this stuff can begin to connect. And hopefully we'll look back in a couple of years and see, wow, there's a lot that's changed. But hopefully folks 10 years from now, 15 years now, will look back and go, okay, this part of town really woke up and was transformed because of some infrastructure that the city and the developers decided to pursue in 2016. So that is really the kind of landscape of from the multifamily to the entertainment and the grocery and what we're trying to accomplish. Around the front of the mall, most of you have already seen the H&M edition and some retail that kind of kicked off this round of efforts. But that's the story in a nutshell, and I'm happy to take any questions. Yeah, all this retail right here stays as is, but it'll have the benefit of looking out to a street front. Yes, in the back.
Will you repeat the question?
Yeah, so the question was, is that going to be residential in that field we just looked at? If you look at your plan, you can see it's not a comprehensive or detailed plan of it, but you can see a park-based retail development. It's multifamily, 250 units in its present iteration, and then as the buildings come more into the commercial view, that would be office or perhaps some mixed use behind this complex. So primarily multifamily with some commercial and mixed use.
unless you want to go back to your car.
No, we can walk.
Just stop.
Yeah, I'm happy to walk back.
Yeah, we
No
just
problem.
wanted to turn, right?
No problem. Yes, in the glasses. Yes, it is a park-based development, and this is with respect to Southgate Mall doesn't control that land outright, so I can't write that in blood, but I can say so far the other landowners are on the same page, and if it goes where we have imagined it to go, it would be a park-based development, which is super cool because it's on the trail, so you end up with this great amenity. You're on a trail and you're along a park.
Oh, I thought he was gonna. Oh, okay, yeah.
And you can tell me when I'm out of time, or I can continue to take questions as
Either.
whatever. Yeah.
What are you gonna do with this over here?
So Paxson Plaza, you'll notice the question is, what are we going to do with Paxson Plaza? We've kept a section that still aligns with the present kind of grid that we're laying out, and the effort will be to redevelop kind of the storefronts and tenancies after the infrastructure is complete. Here in the blue?
So, you probably can't truly answer this question, but will the market be something like Trader Joe's?
To use description, it is if we conclude a deal with the party that we're near a completion of a deal, you could describe it as between a Trader Joe's and a Whole Foods, or if you took Trader Joe's and added full butchery, seafood, and bakery,
Okay.
that's the value point we're aimed at. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Great question. Anything else?
Any idea how long this is going to take?
You know, if we can conclude our deal with the grocer, we could potentially make that a 2016 redevelopment of Sears. The theater, we're looking at a year, so a year from now we should see a theater here, and then the retail shops that fill in those two anchors should be 2017, maybe 18-ish. So you'll see stuff right away, actually, yeah. All right, one more question.
The road's gonna go right out here?
Yeah.
Yes, it's basically kind of the road you see here, but it curves a little bit to accommodate the development.
And cuts out that way.
Right. Awesome. You all are awesome to take time out of your tour to look at what we're doing at Southgate. We're hoping to do something that plants seeds for a productive neighborhood for the coming decades. And if you ever have more questions, ideas, or potential tenancies, or any way to make our plan better, we're easy to find and we're happy to talk. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Peter, my son and
Say
I,
anything?
Peter,
Just say introduce yourself.
we were talking about but then he became a doctor. It's like,
It's awesome.
If you have other questions, Annalise Hedall and I are your Ward 5 reps, and we are always in contact with Peter, and we can answer questions.
I've always been impressed by your
And
time.
she has some cards. Annalise will wave in a minute if you didn't meet her.
Thank you, Julie. Julie's getting off.
Oh, you're getting out too?
I'll meet you guys down the park.
Thank you. Okay, we have another stop here. We're in Southgate Triangle at Bellevue Park, and here I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Carrie Schreiber, and I was trying to be a tree out here to show you all how we need shade.
Oh.
So, I'm not sure how to talk without gesturing. I'll give that a try. So, this is a lovely park that stretches back a few blocks along that line of willows. And in this direction, to the front and the left, there's a bicycle park, and that's going to be getting very fancy equipment with the I Ride for Tanner folks. And the project that I was a part of was getting a $3,000 grant to get irrigation and trees along this boulevard. And I'm very excited for this. As you can see, the afternoon sun here is super hot. This is the park that I used to recreate. And although there's a lot of single-family houses around here with yards, there are more and more apartments coming in. And it's important to have these sort of spaces to commune and connect. The trees that I chose for this are oak, linden, dogwood, and birch. And those represent the three qualities that we say create grace. So oak teaches us about courage and strength. Compassion with linden. We use linden medicinally. I'm an herbalist as well, so that's why gosh, I'm shaking. Birch has to do with humility, and dogwood with grace. And as we talk about community resilience, especially about grieving the loss of a child and finding a way to really bring community together around that and create stronger community going forward. I'm excited for all these projects coming together. Long term, there's a possibility of possibly some community gardens here if there was ever a need for it. But we have many parks coming together right now, and I'm excited to see where this park goes in the future. And it's great to meet other people that are interested in investing in their community. I wish I had time to say hello to all of you. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Question.
What questions? You got a couple of questions.
Where is the bike, whatever you were saying?
Right over in that.
The question is, where's the bike park going?
All right, maybe I can speak better without this hat on. My goodness. All right. So, you can see the line of willows. That's an old drainage that's now underground. Beyond the ditch, there's some more rolling hills and some cottonwoods. Do you guys see that over there?
Yes.
And all but three or four of those cottonwoods are going to be taken down because they're not that healthy. So there'll be new trees going into that area as well. And I don't know.
What was the bike part? Just a
It's a bike skills park.
bike? Oh.
And there's going to be two of them being put in. One is up in the Rattlesnake and the other one here. I don't really have the time frame on that, but this has been used for decades for children to be recreating on. So,
Just the dump dirt mound.
so it's going to get fancy schmancy. If anyone wants to see the plans for the bike park, stop by Missoula Bicycle Works. That's right on Southwest Higgins, and they have some really big maps of that. I had a smaller map printed out here as well, but that would be a great place to learn more about the project. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
All right.
Just so everyone knows, Kate won the first bingo, and so we are now moving on to blackout. Awesome.
Congratulations, Kate. Next, we're going to head up to Whitaker Park and the little white house, which I think isn't painted a different color now.
So we're on our way up to, I believe we're going to go up Hyde Park to get up to Whitaker Park. Hyde Park being beyond Hillview Way, which of course we all have had a lot of words about lately, I think.
Starting construction on it.
Yeah, the construction is beginning. So as we're going up to Whitaker Park, there's two things that we really wanted to show you about what's new and what's next. Like we've already seen the what do I want to call it? The landscaping for the playground equipment has been put in a number of the parks. You'll see it's they all appear to be pits at this point. And you'll see the one that we have in Whitaker, and that's because with the new regulations, you have to have, I think it's 2.5 feet of soft landing fill that goes in around all the equipment. So that's what I think that probably comes at the end. Next thing will be the playground equipment. In your map, the equipment that we're going to be seeing at Whitaker is shown here. Okay. So if you want to get a chance to get an idea of what is now considered by a lot of the playground equipment people to be safe and interesting equipment, these are examples. So all of the 10 parks that are being worked on in Missoula will have a variety of these different pieces. Because we needed to have ADA access for the playground that you'll be seeing up here. It was moved from, and you'll see an old playground that will be taken out, and then the space where the new one's going to be.
That was Hyde Park.
Okay.
This is Whitaker.
Yeah, so we're about to turn left onto Whitaker Avenue, and we'll go down a block, and the park will be there. You'll see it on, let's see, that's my right, that's your left side of the bus. And then you'll...
on the right when we turn.
It'll be on the left.
Okay, so you're going to get a good look out the right side. You can get a sense of the depth of the soft material that has to go in that's associated with playground equipment. Down below it, deeper down in the park by the oak tree down there is the old playground equipment that will be taken out. This makes it ADA accessible. The brown building that you see was built back in 1936. It was probably the first building up here on the hill. It was, at that time, it was a Forest Service radio transmitter building. And was brought, and that was it. It has remained. And at this point now, Parks and Rec owns it. We in Farview's Petty Canyon would like to see it become an open building rather than a storage building. It needs some work, but we're very interested in seeing that happen. So we'll keep moving on that. So maybe I'll tell you a little history as we go on up the hill towards Deanstone Mountain about the area up here.
Ray,
Yes.
has that building been put on the National Register of Historic Places?
Thank you.
Okay.
The question was, has that building been put on the National Register of Historic Buildings? And the answer is yes, it was. So along with the fact that that Forest Service building was built there in 1936, thought maybe we'd give a little history about Whitaker himself, who is why this area is named, and Whitaker Park and Whitaker Avenue, or Whitaker Drive. Right, so he came from Bath, England, way back, and started out in Canada, came across the High Line, looking for a place to do some trapping, and ultimately ended up when there was just a traders village here in the Missoula Valley and a lot of Indians, and decided to homestead instead of moving on. So he homesteaded up in the South Hills. We will actually go by the house that he built up here. It's on the Line Ranch, so that'll be on our right-hand side. When we come up into this open ranch area on the right-hand side and you look in, you'll see, I think it kind of will probably look to you like a log cabin building, and that was built by Whitaker. And ultimately, he sold that to Dean Roland Line, who now is the Line Ranch is named in his name, who was, I'm not sure what, I think he was in the business school at the university. Right. So you look off to the left out there, you can see the log building there behind the tall pine. That was the original. Right. Whoa, the right side, sorry, my left.
Horses? Yes. Horses.
Yeah, horse.
I see a horse. A horse. Well, no, I guess that's
There are no horses.
Okay. I'm looking for a wheel. Wagon wheel.
And if you're interested in a really special place, the road that is paralleling Whitaker over there in the fields is actually called Heaven's Gate. So it's got potential. Oh, and another thing to point out is the lines have put, I think, nearly all of the land into conservation easement now, so this will not be built on. You're going, let's see, pretty soon you're going to go by, or you've gone by, sorry, did anybody miss the keep?
No, I got it.
We did not miss it.
So there's multiple reasons for coming all the way up here. One is, this is where a lot of people come to look at the fireworks. Yeah. And it's spectacular views up here. And we're going to drive up to cul-de-sac up here, and as we're coming up on it, as you look beyond, you'll see a knee, open area up here with a few trees on it. When you go beyond that, you probably read in the paper a couple weeks ago about land that a family has put an easement in honor of their parents, and there's a potential for, or at least they're planning on an easement and a trail that will go all the way up to the top of this ridge line, which is Deanstone Mountain is up there.
So is this the Barmeyer property?
Yes, the Barmeyer.
When do you know, when is that Christmas? Public access. It was private
So
land.
The question was, when is the trail going to be put in? I honestly don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure anybody does. Yeah. So make sure and take a look out at the left side of the bus just to see the view. Okay. And we're actually going to go, I think we're going by one of my favorite hiking spots down here, and probably shouldn't tell about it, but there is from where I am down in Ben Hogan, you can hike up on a trail that is part of the trail system. It will bring you up to a drainage, which, let's see.
Yes, we did.
Now I'm disoriented for a second here. So straight ahead of us here, we're going to make another turn to the right because we're wandering our way back down through here. And there's a drainage right out through here, which is a lot of fun in the early morning and late at night when the foxes are out. So where you see these pines here, between where we are now and those pines, there's a nice drainage, which I think we'll see again down below, and it's really fun. Yeah, you can kind of get a sense of it down in there. It's good aerobic activity too, hiking up it.
All these trees are still high.
So for some of the older people here, I'm sure they remember the days when there was not a house up here in this area. And this is all the new development. I think at one point it was called Mansion Heights, and then finally they got embarrassed by the name, so they changed it to, I think it's Spanish or Stone Mountain now. Yeah.
Spanish Mansion was up. It used to be right down where the freeway is at the mouth of Flowers. They moved it up.
We demolished it kind of way, but it was down.
No, they made it work. It was a very exclusive restaurant, golf course. All that will caught fire one night.
So if you do come up in this area, here's what I'm talking about. To the right here, you'll see a little trail that walks in that's graveled. That'll take you down to Ben Hogan. On the left over here, if you're hiking up, is that drainage that I was talking about that goes all the way up to the top of the hill here. And it's really fun back in there when the animals are around.
Red-winged blackbirds,
Yeah.
don't you think? Nice little pond.
You would pay for a ride.
Dude, that's right.
You can get this bus around that corner. I've gotten this bus out of some tight place. A lot of fun in the wintertime.
Actually, somebody said it's a lot of fun in the wintertime. They do a pretty good job of keeping things well done. I've only had to leave my car out there once.
I get a lot of complaints about what driving too fast.
Anyway, this is where the mansion used to sit.
Yeah.
Okay, so on your left, on your bingo card, is the keep. And you all know what the keep's associated with too, right? You see at least one golf cart down there. So there's the Highlands Golf Course. So I suppose if you look up to the right as we're turning the corner, beyond those two houses up there is where that new easement and trail is going to be. So for those of you who haven't spent much time up here, the road that we're going down has a number of roads off to the left, and each of those are dead ends. They have no outlet because they're right to the edge of the golf course.
Ray, you're not making it have to work.
Okay, so we're going to turn on to Pine Ridge, which will take us back down to Patty Canyon Drive. And in the process, on the left-hand side is a park, one of our parks that we all called for in the plan to have minimal development. But as we make the hairpin turn down here, you should be able to see both on your right going up the hill, crossing. Yeah, actually you can look right up through there and see it. The trail that goes on up to Ben Hogan. That's part of I think it's called Highland Park. And then this is the Hemiagan. And
take a bunch of pictures of him.
2 years ago, the people, Mark and his, or not Mark, Morgan Valley and his Conservation Corps people put in this trail that is on the left side of the bus here and goes up through the park on the contour, and actually comes out right near Higgins and Patty Canyon. And it gets a lot of activity. And it's not all by two-footed people. There's a lot of deer that have found it convenient to use too. It's still in development. There's a building up on top of the hill up here where they had to put in all kinds of rebar and rocks and so on to be able to build on the hillside. And then our other undeveloped park is here on the right, and that was the one I think that was listed in there, and that's Takima. And so ends your tour of Farviews.
But not Patty Canyon.
An added bonus, I'm Bev from the Rattlesnake, but this has nothing to do with the Rattlesnake, but it does have to do with the Watershed Education Network. I'm part of the Water Quality Advisory Council for the city, and down at the corner of Patty and Southwest Higgins, you know where the golf course is and there's a garden there, there's also a big stormwater drainage pond. That actually is all of Patty Creek. It goes into that pond, and the Watershed Education Network has gotten a grant to put in these BioLife filters that will be seeded with various kinds of native plants that will clean the water. And they will be working with the students at Sentinel High School to measure the water quality benefits. So look for that. They probably will be putting in the BioLife mats. They're these like little floating islands that are made of recycled water bottles. And so look for that. It should be really cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Bev.
Yeah.
Your question.
Oh, okay.
I've been following this for a long time.
A question? Oh, okay. Yes, your question. Oh,
This is just for you.
okay. Oh, wait a minute. So here's the pond, right here. Oh, the pond is on your right, okay? And so that's where you should be looking for these little floating mats later this year. And the process was engineered by a person in Montana, I think from, is it Shepherd, Montana? It was created by someone here in Montana.
Thanks again, Bev. Okay, next we're headed over to Playfair Park, and Eric Ives and John Wilkins are going to talk about that, and we're going to get off the bus. So we'll have to kind of do it in a hurry because we have to get off and have our talk and then hop back on again. We can't take a whole lot of time. So Eric, you want to come on up here?
All right, everybody, listen up. Welcome to my neighborhood. This is Lewis and Clark.
The boundaries for Lewis and Clark are Russell Street right over there on the other side of the YMCA building, which is the building right over there. That's the YMCA building. It goes up to South Avenue, which is just on the other side of Sentinel High School. From there, South Avenue all the way to Higgins, which we're basically butted right up to the mountain there. And then it curves on around before it hits Russell, and Russell turns into 39th. What I wanted to point out was just a few of the prominent features right here that we can see. First of all, there's the water park. Over there is Sentinel High School. That building over there is Missoula College.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. That's the fairgrounds over there. And it's my understanding they're going to be doing some renovation and upgrades on that. So that would be a good thing for the fairgrounds. And of course, this is all Playfair Park here. A lot of youth sports goes on, mostly in the spring and summer. There's soccer. We have, I think, 12 baseball diamonds. 14. Okay, we have 14. And baseball, some softball. They sort of tried to discourage the softball. There's actually signs that say no softball. So they're into the baseball.
The girls softball plays here.
Well, yeah, it's there. I said there's a couple over there. There's a couple.
But we really don't want them.
No, we only want baseball here. So, and then of course we have the pavilion there. Right over there, there's a track that goes all the way around, and a lot of people jog, walk. Big area for walking dogs. There's a dog park over on the other side where you can go inside and close the gate, let your dog run around and so on. And a lot of people do that anyway without, you know, wherever. So
Where is that?
anyway, the dog park is right when you take that little trail across there, and the trail actually goes on around here. So basically straight across from where you're looking is the dog park. There's a fence about that high, so only the most agile dog could probably jump that fence. Any questions?
What are they going to do with Missoula College? Oh, Kim Williams.
I think they're going to close that down.
No, I know it's going to be closed down, but what it's going to happen to Kim Williams?
Building, I have no idea. You know, we'll have an empty building, and hopefully they can find a use for it somehow, but it'd be a shame to just, when I see empty buildings like that and so on, so.
You'd imagine they'd use it for Sentinel High School for something.
Well, it used to belong to the Missoula County Schools, and they sold it for $1. And the last I heard, there's some controversy about what the price is. The district would like to buy it back, but it's no longer $1.
Okay, when I was a kid, I remember this as Missoula's airport. And the air, we went down there to a building on the east side of the fairgrounds.
Any other questions?
Any other comments?
Any comments?
Don't forget the
great
softball.
job. Where's John?
Yeah, and your next time around, don't forget that there's plenty of softball.
Eric, when are you gonna be the MC for a community forum?
Okay, so I'm John Welkins. I've represented Ward 4 for the last 10 years on City Council, and I'm glad to have John DeBari helping us out. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Little League fields down here. You know, they were all built and they're all maintained by volunteers. All this field here. And when people from out of town come, they always say, "Oh, you got the best looking fields they are." And I helped with some of these fields myself, so I know that what Park and Rec does down here is mow the lawn for us. And we appreciate that muchly. So when we get down here and go around, we'll be by the duck pond. And there's a little bit of history that Patty Creek came down.
gonna go around and come in the other direction.
Patty Creek comes down Patty Canyon, and in the old days, the creek used to turn and just follow along Mount Sentinel till it emptied into the river. And as houses were built, it kept getting pushed more and pushed more, and it actually came down a couple of different streets. One was called Helena Street, but they changed the name to a different name to the street, and it got pushed to where it finally came down Patty Street. And there is a holding tank up above, which the lady mentioned, that has water, and that can either be diverted into a main pipe that they built several years ago, because this all used to be underwater right in here. And you'd see water coming over the creek right here, just rushing over the creek. And so they put that pipe in to alleviate that. That's why you see the burns around here. You know, the burns are supposed to hold the water in for flooding other places. So now the big thing is to make sure they turn the pipe off and let it go down the creek so we can keep water in the pond. From where we just turned to the first bridge that you'll notice down here that goes the trail over to the pond is only about a 1 foot slope. So it's pretty hard when sediment and stuff gets built up. You can see to the right,
Yeah, there's lots of
the water's going there, but when you get to this little bridge right, we pass it, no, it's right here. Then it's hardly slopes and hardly goes into the duck pond. So it's hard to keep water, maintain water in there all year long, especially when it gets hot. And lately the lower pond has been drying up. We put kind of like a dam in the upper pond to make sure that we can keep enough water in, and we do that. Now, if you look when we go by here, on the right side you'll see a hay bale in the middle of the pond, and that's our local Canadian geese still sitting on there with her eggs. She will hatch those out, and it's really fun to watch them grow up. And actually they end up turning to look like the parents. And then they fly, and they're the most clumsiest things learn how to fly. In this pond, we have another one that we put in. And you see the mother sitting up there. She's got her head up looking around. I would think those eggs would be hatched any time now. So they'll come up. The bridges you saw, that was all volunteer from the Lewis and Clark to put those bridges in. Some of the money came from the grants from the neighborhood council, and then we did other things to raise money, and finally we had enough money to put them bridges in. They were about $2,800 a bridge. So we raised all the money at Lewis and Clark to do that. And the reason we did that is because a lady was walking across a plank and fell in and broke her hip. And that's all there was, planks going across that thing. So we did a lot of work with that. Anyway, that's kind of the history and the story of the duck pond. And you can see all kinds of things down here. I've seen blue herons. There's a bunch of geese over there. I know generally they don't come back. The parents will come back. So, and I guess the mother just left the nest when we were up there, so that's kind of odd.
No, she's fighting.
Is she down in? Oh, she went down in, okay. So, and then down here further is Gopher City. They're actually called Western Gray Ground Squirrels. We have a plan, or the plans in the park, and the future plans, we'd like to have some place that the teachers can put students when the students come. What was it, Wednesday or one of the days this week? There was over 200 kids here from the Lewis and Clark School, and they planted a bunch of grass and stuff around, and so that's pretty neat. Hopefully we'll get some more covers and probably have some more ducks in there. But you can see how this lower pond's already starting to dry out. There's not enough runoff this year. Anyway, that's about my conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay, we're going to head on now. We're going to head up to Hillview Way reconstruction, and Jeff Stevens will start talking about that now, and then he'll pass the mic over to John DeBari to talk about the Hillview Crossing townhomes, and then we'll finish up with Jeff again.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeff Stevens. I'm with the South 39th Street Neighborhood Council. And just noting on the geese, I have a house at 104 Red Rock Place right behind the 39th Street Fire Station. And we always see flocks of geese on their flight path headed towards these ponds. It's really fun to watch them. Anyway, but I am going to talk about the Hillview Way reconstruction. And more good news after years and years of frustration and waiting. The Hillview Way reconstruction is about to get underway this spring, and hopefully it will be finished by fall. The reconstruction is going to involve rebuilding of the street, repaving of course, but it will also involve curbs and gutters and a sidewalk on the uphill side of the street, as well as bike lanes. So it's going to constitute a very significant improvement in that street, which has long been considered one of the more dangerous streets within the Missoula city limits. With its narrowness and its hilly setting, it's long been a problem. Yeah, so the reconstruction is a $3.5 million project, and I know the city council had a lot of heartburn getting it approved for a lot of years, but they finally were able to put together a financing package that met everyone's approval. And I'm going to be absolutely delighted to be a participant in paying off that bond, because it's a very, very worthwhile project.
The SID was $1.5 million.
Yeah, the SID itself is $1.5 million. John is feeding me all this valuable information.
It used to be a Ward 4 when it all started.
Yeah, it started so long ago. I was in a different ward and I didn't even move.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about the Hillview Crossing townhomes, not when we go up the hill, but we're gonna talk about it when we get at the last stop at Wapakia. So at the last stop, that's when John DeBari will talk about the Hillview Crossing townhomes.
And we're going to be turning up here onto Hillview, right by the 39th Street Fire Station. This portion of Hillview that we're on right now isn't going to be receiving a lot of reconstruction work because it's actually in pretty good shape. You'll see a dramatic difference as we get further up the hill and it narrows out. You notice we just passed the Save the Mercantile sign, by the way. The major portion of the reconstruction is going to start right about here. As I said, the street will be regraded, resurfaced, and there'll be sidewalks on the uphill side. If you look out the window, you can see stakes. The surveyors have already been busy here working this spring and getting things staked out and planned out.
We're going to get all of them. Should be all of them.
One of the major features of this project is going to be a bicycle, pedestrian, and wildlife undercrossing further up the hill. And that will allow the Moose Can Gully Trail, which is part of the South Hills Trail System, to cross underneath Hillview Way. And this will be discussed in greater detail by the representative from Moose Can Gully. We just passed the Tonkin Trail, which is a part of the South Hills Trail System. This property right beneath us belongs to Pat Tonkin, and the property downhill from that is the 25 acres that's going to be the proposed Hillview Crossing townhome development. And at this point, I think I'm going to turn it over to the representatives of Moose Can Gully, because we just crossed into the Moose Can Gully Neighborhood Council area. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Marilyn Ryan and Janet Van Dyke, come on up.
Well, welcome to Moose Can Gully. It is right over to your right, beyond these condos. I want you to note something though as we go around this corner. Right by this fence on the left-hand side, there is a right-of-way. And what our group wants to do is to go all the way over to just above the keep, above the Line Ranch. It would be a wonderful extension of the walking trail. Ah, this is Moose Cat Gully. Oops. This is Moose Cat Gully to your right. It's a wonderful, delightful area for children to play. There will be an underground walkway from the left to the right, right into the gully when the road construction takes place. Of course, this is Chief Charlo, you see on top of the hill probably from all over town. Most of this area was not developed until about 30, 35 years ago. There were a few structures up here. You know, I always get a chuckle out of all the trees the city has planted. These trees are all individual properties. Everyone up here has done their own. It's the way it developed. It was in the county for a while and now it's in the city. We're just approaching right in front of us Skyview Park, which will soon have new play equipment. It's a well-used park. People kind of been discovering in the last few years. You see football practice here in the fall for teams. It's a lot of walking occurs on the trails that you connect with up here. We do have sidewalks, which is a great advantage. And you'll see a lot of walking, and the new equipment will go right to the east of where those girls were playing.
Looks like right here.
Well, there's some on the other side as well. They used to call this, years ago, before in the early 60s, this was often called Lightning Mountain because anytime there was a storm out in the Bitterroot, you'd see the lightning up here. We've passed, some of them were down below off of Hillview Way, and up in this area, this is a private park area owned by the homeowners, and you can walk out there, but you don't want to take your dog out there. It's pretty protected of the area. This is not city, it's all private right here. Belongs to the homeowners to the left, I believe. There are a lot of open spaces up here. There are little pocket parks that are undeveloped, but give us good open space where we can still hear meadowlarks. Down near the gully, we have a fox family that's lived there for years. But you can see because of the sidewalks, people do there is a lot of walking, but not so much trail. It's very difficult to connect from here, though, to the section to our right. There are no connections, official connections anyway.
I've never been up here.
Never either.
Yep, there's more metal stars.
Yeah.
Did you get them? Metal stars. You got it.
There are still a lot of bitterroots in the open areas. Early June, you can find a lot of bitterroots in the open area. The land to your right now, as we're turning, of course, is a working farm. I don't know the status as far as conservation easement. When we came up Hillview, the Craighead land was off, at that time, it's on this side of the road, but it was off to our left. That is conservation easement there. But this is an active working ranch.
That's,
yeah.
That's
Rimo. The building of Chief Charlo's school, I think, has really changed the neighborhood up here. It's given us more of a focus. As you can see, there are no businesses. We now have a couple churches, and it's kind of beginning to develop more of an identity. Before that, it was all residential houses, and having those focal points where people come together has been really significant. The sidewalks you see in front of us on 23rd were just put in last summer. Prior to that, kids walking back and forth to school had a pretty rough time, but it's
their life in their hands.
Yes, it's really improved it.
there.
We're just coming up to the 24th Street Trail on your right. It goes all the way down to the to Meadow Hill School, all the way to 39th Street, and it also cuts off into several other trails that go into Moose Can Gully and that go to the west. So it's a very popular trail. We're right there now. It's well used. A lot of people walk their dogs, and it's used year-round.
Thank you, Marilyn. Bruce can't tell me sure is beautiful up there.
Especially those trees on the left.
Oh, look at those here too. Yes, beautiful.
They're mine.
Was that a sad
Who said that? Janet. Okay, now we're going to head over into Miller Creek. And the first place we're going to is Jeffrey Park. And Jack Walton's going to talk about that.
Good afternoon. I'm Jack Walton from Miller Creek neighborhood. And we're coming up here to Delphi Miller Creek Road. We'll be going to the left. Across from us, as you come up Miller Creek, everything to the west is part of the neighborhood Creek neighborhood. Last summer when we had the power outage right here at the substation, they had to bring in a trailer to provide additional power, and we lost 13 power poles on this line going out. We're on Jeff Drive, but we had 5 days without power. Some people had power within 1 day. If you wouldn't mind pulling out your map for says 2015 phasing plan, and I'll kind of talk about that a little bit as we also go down to Jeffrey Park. If you look at your 2015 phasing plan, information in white there, as we turned off Miller Creek, we're putting in a brand new water line for this new expansion. This will be about 2018 that they'll start that. Well, let me back up. That'll be 2017. They have to complete one down here before they can start building houses there, but they're getting the water line and the street in. Jeff Drive here is about 3 years old. 2013, 2012 when they started building the homes.
Pablo, I think.
As we come around here, on the right will be Jeffrey Park. The houses here along Alicia Drive, there's a part of the park. This is a 5-acre park that goes around behind the houses. And then the upper 3 acres up here is could be developed. But the 5 acres will be developed by the developer, and will include water, water, sprinklers, sod, backfill, that type of thing. And then this 3 acres, this piece here, Mr. Dwight would like to donate that to the city. And this could be a soccer, it's flat, it could be a soccer field, little league field, whatever. And he's working with the city on that in negotiations right now. So I know a lot of the homeowners are very supportive of that, becoming whole thing becoming a city park. That would make it an 8-acre park for the city. But the lower 5 acres is what he's developing, and other 3 acres trying to negotiate with the city on having the city develop that piece. And on the left here is Brookland Park. This is a county park. It's a small 1-acre park. And this lot to the left is can be a developed commercial lot. When they put the lots in here, the lots haven't all been staked, but those 41 lots, just part of it, all were sold in 3 days. Wow. And as you look over on the ridge, that's Avery and Brookland. All those lots were taken in 1 day. And there's 44 lots over there.
I guess I missed the
Right now, the planned development just goes here. The gravel pit will be about another 2 years, possibly 3, and then it'll be reclaimed. And there'll be houses out here beyond 2025.
Corps of Engineers said they about a bridge and there was 300 more houses.
Just talking to the post office last fall, the mail clerk, she said there's 800 homes going in up in here.
At the UM Keggers. 15 years. Yeah, right down there where all the houses are. They used to be the McCullough Ranch. McCullough's Ranch. Right here.
Labor Day.
And that's where they have rodeo grounds. And
John Ramsey, the one that instigated a lot of
As we come around the corner here, there's going to be a draw on your right. And up that draw, if you look at that phasing plan that's in color, that's where the new homes are going to be. Yeah. And Mr. Dwight drilled 3 wells here and put in a water line. And when we talk about the Teton addition, he has already built a 300,000 gallon water tank up there. He plans on building another one up by the county gravel pit, an 800,000 gallon one. He already has, yes. Right here, this draw is, so the first phase is up the draw here. And of course, this is where it ties in, where they're working up above right now, putting in the water line. This is all ties in. And then over here, this will be part of the next phase and the third phase. And then there's going to be about 14 apartment homes in there.
then it's on to the next hill.
Yeah, most of the homes right now, the plan is for them to come out, but a lot of them I think will be going up the time in the Upper Miller Creek. So you're looking at between the upper and the lower part of that draw, there'll probably be probably 300 homes, 400 homes in there.
And this road doesn't look like it's ready to accommodate that much traffic.
It's still county road.
Well, it's a county road, and what we found out is from last Tuesday night we had our leadership meeting, and the Metropolitan Transportation District was there, and they identified that they have upgraded this from a local to a collector, and so in the future it'll be required to have sidewalks, curbs, and gutters. As we come around the hill, we'll climb up a little bit, and you'll be able to see part of the Maloney Ranch. And Mr. Dwight picked up the east half of that. And like I said, he built a 300,000 gallon water tank up on the hill. And Christian Drive will tie through from Linda Vista all the way down to the fire station. There'll be a brand new roundabout down by the Rockville Fire Station. If you talk to a lot of the people up here, they're all concerned about there's only one way out, and that's Miller Creek. They would like to see a second way out. If you turn over the back of the 2015 phasing plan, you'll see we're coming up on the Maloney Ranch and Teton addition. This part here next to Lower Miller Creek Road is part of the Teton addition. And as we get up on top, you'll be able to look way up and see Upper Linda Vista. You have a big plateau here, and if you look off there to your right, you'll see the homes up there. That's the phasing plan for the Teton addition to the Maloney Ranch. So this will be all homes in here. I believe there's 600 acres, and in the 600 acres there'll be 300 homes.
So
we're on Lower Miller Creek Road right now.
but on the map.
Oh,
On the colorful map.
Yeah.
yeah, it's right through the yellow right there, through the yellow.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Will this become city,
Yes.
or is it
Yeah,
already?
yeah.
What was the question?
Will it become city?
Well, the question was,
Okay,
will it become city? Yes, it'll become part of the city.
It's already.
I think it
It's
already.
already city. Oh, yeah, okay.
Every time
Yes.
Dwight did a subdivision, he had an ad.
Yeah, Mr. Tite, every time he took and provided a subdivision, it was part of the process to be annexed into the city. And so, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now we're headed to 39th Street, and Jeff is going to come up and talk about the median on 39th Street and the vegetation on the median.
This is Jeff Stevens back again for the South 39th Street Neighborhood Council, and we're just about to negotiate the Upper Miller Creek, Lower Miller Creek roundabout. We're going to find out if the bus fits.
There's Stanley down there.
Okay, blackout.
Yeah.
Okay,
Somebody's got the,
technical interpretation. Are deer considered archery targets?
I'm willing to back her on this.
I personally saw the archery target myself, so there was a real one. Yes,
Oh,
you did miss it.
Okay.
Now we're right on the edge of the South 39th Street Neighborhood Council area. Our neighborhood council is bounded by Miller Creek Road to the west, Hillview Way to the east, 39th Street to the north, and the Tonkin Trail and various assorted neighborhood streets to the south. We only have one business in the neighborhood, but when it's Walmart, that's sufficient. This is probably the most nicely landscaped Walmart in existence, by the way. As part of the condition of them building this store is that they landscape a lot of acreage here, which they've done, and they do a nice job of maintaining it. So it's kind of serves as another neighborhood park in many respects. I see some people out there enjoying the grass right now. And on the right is Cold Spring School. That's one of two schools in our neighborhood council area, the other one being Meadow Hill School. You wouldn't know it by looking at this street, but there's a real shortage of sidewalks in the South 39th neighborhood. That was one of our incentives for helping create the South Hills Trail System, which is pretty extensive. It consists of probably about 9 different trails winding through the area, and it's kind of a substitute for our lack of sidewalks on a lot of our side streets. And we're coming up to 39th Street right now. When they did an extensive rebuild on this street a few years ago, and it was extensive, pretty massive construction project, they put in some really nice landscape medians along a good portion of the street. We'll be coming up to those pretty quick. In fact, this building on the right to my right here is the old Rainbow Stables. This area used to be pretty heavily agricultural. Very few houses here. There were ranches here, and that's kind of a historic remnant of what used to be here. And we're coming up to a series of landscaped irrigated medians at 39th Street right now. One of our priorities as a neighborhood council is to make certain that these medians stay looking nice. And so the city parks department is going to be putting in some new landscaping in these medians this spring.
Oh wait, John DeBari has it.
That's all right. I'm not claiming bingo.
Oh, John DeBari has bingo? Yeah. Okay,
No, someone else has
sorry.
bingo.
You gotta look. John could be lying.
Is he lying?
Okay, we're turning right on Arrowhead into the Wapakia neighborhood.
I'm sure there's lots of archery
And
tournaments.
this is one of the older neighborhoods in the area. This subdivision was started about 1955 and completed around 1965.
Okay, so we've had a final bingo. Bryce, you did win. So thank you all for playing. You guys are great sports. Okay, wait, Bryce, don't move.
We're coming up to Wapakia Park pretty soon. And this is a really nice 3.5 acre neighborhood park, one of the nicer neighborhood parks in Missoula. And they're going to be building a new playground here, along with many other parks that we've seen. When I moved into this neighborhood in 1980, this park did not look like this. It was a county park, and it was an absolute mess. It had knapweed in it about 4 feet high, mounds of dirt. It had been used as a garbage dump for decades. And so our first project was to level out this park, clean out all the debris, and we started mowing it. Didn't have an irrigation system, but we mowed it. We mowed the knapweed and whatever else would grow here. And we bought a 18 horsepower Sears lawnmower. That's what we used to mow this park and Honeysuckle Park. And I spent years doing that. I can assure you we avoided the warranty on that lawnmower many times over. And the poor guys down at Sears in the service department could never figure out why we were bringing it in 2 or 3 times a year all broken up. And I never told them.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes.
Where's the new park going in?
Okay, you see the sand area?
Yeah.
See, he asked where the new park is going in. You see the sand area right in front of the bus. That's where they're going to be doing the construction, and they're going to be putting in those walls similar to what you saw in the other parks. And of course, all new playground equipment. And they told me they were hoping to have this one done sometime in June. But they better get going if they're going to get it done by then.
Jeff, do you want to talk about Hillview Crossing?
Parks and Rec seems to be overly
I'm going to turn the mic over to John DeBar. He's going to tell us about the Hillview Crossing subdivision. Or not, actually, it's not a subdivision, it's a development.
So if you look straight outside the front window of the bus right up on the hill, that's the proposed Hillview Crossing townhome exemption development. In 2006, there was a subdivision that was proposed there, and that was approved for 46 lots. And you actually have a handout that shows both the plat of the subdivision and what the proposed townhome exemption development would be like. The townhome exemption development has 64, 68? 68. I can't call them lots because they're not lots. They're 68 dwellings, I guess. So the big difference between a subdivision and a townhome exemption development is that subdivision requires public notice. There is a public hearing before the planning board and a public hearing before the city council. There's also 7 different review criteria that the city council and the planning board evaluates the impacts on things like effects to wildlife and wildlife habitat, public safety, the natural environment, and there's dedication of parkland associated with subdivisions. With townhome developments, at least until last Monday night, before we approved an ordinance to deal with those exemptions, none of that was the case. There was the only administrative requirement was to get a zoning compliance permit. So there was no public notice, there was no review before city council or the planning board, no parkland dedication, no review of impacts to the natural environment or public health and safety or any of those things. So this past Monday night, city council passed an amendment to Title 20, which is our zoning ordinance, and also an amendment to Title 12 that addresses how the Development Service Office is going to review these townhome exemption developments. For developments that are more than 6 units, there will be a conditional use permit requirement, which means that it would have to go before city council. There'll be public notification, and there are a list of design review criteria that need to be met. For townhome exemptions less than 6 units, so 5 or less, there still will be public notice, but there will be no a conditional use. That will be an administrative review at Development Services.
I mean, in part. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Did the Woodland Estates project preempt the standards development of standards?
Yeah, it was.
I believe it. So I think the Woodland Development proposed townhome exemption got zoning compliance already. Where was the land that was reserved for?
Where's the HRC land?
Here.
We don't know exactly.
No, I'm not sure where any land for low-income housing was reserved for this development, or any other for that matter.
Yeah, I can talk about it.
Okay.
You can all talk about it. Okay.
So one thing about this, when you say there's no money in lieu of parks, so if they don't build, in a subdivision, if they don't build a park, they have to give money in lieu of that. And that money can be used, like fixing this park up. It's in the area. But with these townhomes like that, that's not a requirement. So there are different, that's supposed to help make these townhomes more affordable. My own opinion, I have my doubts in that, but anyway, that's what it's supposed to do. The ones up the Rattlesnake, they were approved before Monday night, so I'm not sure if they're gonna all go in, if the guy cut them down to just 5 places, I think, or something like
No,
that.
they're all going in.
They're all going in?
That's what the real estate agent has said.
Well, I had heard opposite of that. I heard that he cut some of them down, that he wasn't gonna do that many, but I don't know that for certain. Okay.
Let's try.
One thing about this proposed development up on the hill, all the sidewalks and streets are going to be private. They're not going to be maintained by the city. So if it does get built in 15 or 20 years, and when those streets and sidewalks start to deteriorate, it's going to fall upon the townhome owners to maintain those facilities. And another issue that we're dealing with in the original subdivision proposal that the City Council approved a few years back, it called for an internal trail system for the nice system for the subdivision that would connect down with the South Hills Trail system. It was the Tonkin Trail and connect to Wapakia Park. And the developer of the proposed development right now has not agreed to anything of the sort, and doesn't seem to be inclined to at this point. Another issue is that there are 5 acres up here that belong to the Human Resources Council, and they are currently landlocked. The previous developer had agreed to connect the street to give them access to that 5 acres, and the current developer has refused to do that, and as a consequence is being sued by the Human Resource Council.
And Jeff, do you know?
Has that changed?
Yeah.
Has there been an agreement made? Okay. Yeah. Well, at least one good thing has come of that. So anyway, that's the situation that we're facing at this point. In a development like this, there's a significant lack of public input, and I'm really glad that the City Council has made some very needed changes.
You know, the legislative did all this to help make affordable housing, but when you don't tell a neighborhood what you're gonna do, and you just come in and do it, I don't think that's a good thing. So we need to advocate for neighborhoods. This is a good neighborhood here. That could be a good thing, or it could be a bad thing, but we need to know about it before it happens. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So last Monday night, that is the case now. They have to notify us.
Thank you,
That's a
City
good deal.
Council. Thank you.
You bet.
Yeah, thank you, City Council. What about our awesome bus driver? And let's hear it for our presenters. I think they did a fabulous job. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, we're on our way back. Don't forget, well, we're going back to fill out your evaluations. And when you come up, I'm not letting you off the bus without them. And please bring up everything else like the clipboards and your pens and papers and everything and give them to Stephanie on your way out. Thank you.